Hi, and welcome to Louisiana Sister Squad podcast. I'm Katie Truther, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tammy. Today, we'll be speaking with Explant Jeff. His real name is Jeff Rose. You might remember him from previous episodes, such as Killer Tits. We also talked about detoxing and beauty products. Today, we are back. We're going to be talking about anti-aging and skincare. But first, Jeff is going to give us an introduction and tell us about some new crucial information you need to know about breast implants and their warnings. Welcome to the show, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's certainly great to be here and update everybody on some new developments in the arena of explanting and breast implant illness. And since the last time that I was on the Killer Tits program, which I understand was a pretty listened to program, so I'm very happy to hear that because it was a lot of important information we touched on. And since that time, there have been some new developments that I did want to update everybody on. The biggest one being that the FDA, that's right, the Food and Drug Administration, which really monitors all our drugs and food and many things that go into our body, whether it's implanted or ingested, they put now a black box warning on all breast implants. Now, a black box warning can be on a drug, and there are drugs with a black box warning, but it's the most stringent warning that the FDA can apply to any drug or medical device. And what it means specifically is that the public needs to be aware, and healthcare practitioners, that there's potentially serious side effects such as injury or even death when you use a breast implant that you're having implanted into your body. Now, that's all breast implants. A lot of people have been, taught or just heard that saline is safe. Saline is only safer if there's a rupture. Breast implant illness is not about a rupture. It's about a foreign object and the outer shell, which is silicone in every implant in the world that exists today. There's 11 million women with breast implants. Every breast implant, even if you have saline, you also have silicone in your body, which is the outer shell. And the reason that's important, it contains these 40 neurotoxic chemicals in there. And those are the chemicals that make a lot of women sick. And like medication, a lot of people get side effects. A lot of people don't. So there's no way to really know if you're going to react to it, but there's estimates that up to 4 million of those 11 million women that do have breast implants could potentially develop side effects over time. And now with this black box warning and also the information that all implants, that's right, all implants, and whether they are placed under the muscle, over the muscle, saline, silicone, cohesive gels, doesn't matter. They all have some risk of lymphoma. It's an ALCL lymphoma that can potentially happen at any time that you have breast implants in your body. It's not just implants that are older. It could be just something that develops after having them for a couple of years, or it can happen after 20 years. But with that being said, we should also keep in mind that 12 years ago, the FDA did come out with it. Not everybody's aware of it, and I know this from speaking to women every single day, that implants are 10-year devices. That's very important to keep in mind, that if you're staying on top of your health, if you do decide to get implants, or you have them presently, is that they're only 10-year devices. Now, why is that? A lot of people have heard it, and they'll ask me, why? Because they used to say they were lifetime devices. Why are they now considered 10-year devices? Well, what happens to all implants when you put them in your body temperature is 98.6 degrees. That outer shell that I mentioned, which is silicone, literally begins to melt over time. And when it melts, those chemicals will bleed into your body, and some people will react and some people won't. So the one thing that we know for sure with that is that, and 10 is an approximate. Sometimes it happens sooner, sometimes it happens a little bit later, but 10 is a pretty good average the FDA came up with. And we know as implants age, they break down and the chemicals do leach into your body. And there's always that potential to get sick. So I think this is something that all women need to be aware of, and it will help them make a prudent, informed decision whether to get implants and also whether to replace them, and of course, explanting, which so many women are doing. I mean, we're one office and we're booked out almost 2 years with Dr. Rankin. So that's pretty significant with the amount of women that have made the decision to remove their implants and to do it properly, which is the important thing, which means complete removal of all of the capsule.
There have been a lot of women that I've come across recently that didn't have any problems with their first set of breast implants, but once they got them redone, it was like an onset of symptoms almost instantly. And I was just wondering if you have possibly any information or statistics saying, like, usually women do or don't feel it in their second round, or just like kind of any information on that.
Tammy, that is an amazing question, and I have to tell you why. And a very, very important question. Every single week, at least twice a week, I will get a phone call that goes exactly like this. Jeff, can you answer something for me because I'm really confused? I had implants for 12 years, never had a problem. Then shortly after I got these new implants, I started to get all these side effects. Is there something different with the new implants? I get at least that question twice a week, and here's the answer. No, there's nothing different with the new implants. It has nothing to do with the new implants. It's the old implants. This is what happens. And I think what helps women understand this, we've all, heard the term seeing is believing. So whenever you have a visual of something, it helps you understand and believe it more. Well, many doctors, including Dr. Rankin, do what's called a capsule cutting ceremony, where after the implants are removed, they're put on a table. The doctor will slice open the capsule, which is the scar tissue that surrounds the implant. And in many cases, you will see a deteriorated implant. You could see a rupture. You could see all this contamination. So the reason, Tammy, that a lot of women will get sick when they get what's called an exchange, new implants put in. And this is not the doctor's fault. Every doctor is trained the same exact way. So this is not the doctor trying to do anything to hurt you, he's not doing anything wrong. This is just what happens is when a doctor does an exchange, he takes a scalpel, he slices open, just as you see in the capsule cutting ceremony, he slices open the old capsule in your chest, pulls out the old implant, and leaves the capsule inside. So what happens is, it's like the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, a woman may have never had a problem. The doctor sliced it open, spread these chemicals and contaminants all through her body, and now she gets new implants put in over top of the old capsule, and it's like spilling all this toxic waste and chemicals and heavy metals into your body. So many women will get sick after getting new implants. And sometimes you're right, sometimes it can happen with the third set. Maybe someone's immune system is a little better, they can handle it. But the majority, in my experience over 11 years, is it happens when they get the second set.
Yeah, agree. Great question, Tammy. I wanted to ask specifically about these implants that have been recalled. Is it recalled for any other reason, but you hear a word like lymphoma, and I mean, that's enough to just give you a heart attack. So can you give us a little bit more information on this brand or this type in specific to know what are we looking for?
Absolutely. So The one you're referring to is the Allergan textured implant. I remember like yesterday, the day it was recalled. It was April 2019. And I remember walking into Dr. Rankin's office, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we got the information about the recall. And what it means specifically and why the recall was issued is, first of all, the Allergan brand, it just means that that manufacturer was the one that recalled this type of implant, which is textured. There's other manufacturers, but Allergan took the initiative to recall them. So the first thing is to explain what a textured implant is and why it's different. A textured implant, as opposed to a smooth, round surface, has a rough surface because it will tend to grip better and stay in place. So many doctors in the past would decide a woman would benefit from the textured implants, maybe because of her lifestyle. Let's say she's very athletic and is moving around a lot and contracting, so there's not a problem with movement. They will recommend a textured implant. What they found, and only 5% of women that get implants get the texture. So that's the percentage of women out there that actually have it. And it can be from any brand, not just Allergan, but 5% of implants are textured. And what they believe, this is a theory that happens that causes the lymphoma in some women, is that because of those rough surfaces, they cause an irritation to the cellular wall, the tissues, and it activates something that causes lymphoma. Now, of course, there could be a genetic predisposition to it. There could be other factors involved, somebody having a weaker immune system, things that we know are potentially problematic, but we don't know exactly why somebody would get it and somebody would not. It's still a small percentage, but it was enough that Allergan did the right thing and issued a recall. Now, one of the things that has happened since also we have spoken last is that they've done more research and they've come to the conclusion that it's not just the textured implants that can cause lymphoma, but any of them can. It just seemed that the textured ones were identified because of the rough surface and probably a little bit of a higher percentage. But now we know that there is some risk with any and all implants.
Just to make note so our listener knows that even though the breast implants are recalled, it doesn't mean that you can get them out by the expense of the company. And because, like, wow, these are could have caused lymphoma, they do an even exchange only, which is terrible, in my opinion.
The interesting thing about that, Tammy, is you would think if there was a potential problem, if a woman decided, hey, I don't want to take a risk of getting this, I want to get them out, you would think the manufacturer, with all the money they make with this, would contribute to help women to explant to get them out if it is deemed potentially, problematic and cancer causing. But you're right. All they do is they will give you a little bit of money toward an exchange to get implants that are not the Allergan textured implants. So if a woman said, okay, I want to get the smooth ones to be safe, then Allergan will give them a little bit of money, not pay for the entire thing, but they will contribute a very small portion so they can get an exchange. So that keeps women with implants. So it's not what we believe the right thing, but at least the recall was issued, but still there's a long way to go.
That's something definitely people need to consider. So not only being aware of what are the health risks when you get them in, I just know a lot of people that, work really hard in order to save to even be able to afford the breast implants. So in your financial planning, you would need to think about if you needed to have them removed, if you were having some kind of reaction or symptom to breast implant illness that was causing, you know, your life to just not be your very best life, or if there was a recall. So there's lots of things to consider before getting them. I personally, and I know Tammy is with me on this, just advise to not get anything medically implanted in you. That there's just got to be other options, whether it's a push-up bra or whatever, things that are not going to actually destroy your health in the long term of things. I've seen a lot of these stories that you guys have posted, you, Jeff, as well as Dr. Rankin, just the stories of the women that go through it. And as many of you guys know, Tammy has been through breast implant illness. She has since got her breast implants removed and is on the road to recovery. But Tammy, you've had them out for 1 year now?
Yes, May 4th made 1 year. And I still to this day am so grateful that I was allowed the opportunity to get them taken out because I literally thought I was going to die. But I can honestly sit here and say my quality of life is absolutely not the same because it caused such severe damage to my gut health and my mental health and things like that, that it's just definitely not who I used to be 100%.
Yeah, and we appreciate you sharing your story here. I know it can be tough to get, you know, so personal, especially because you did feel bad for so long. It was definitely hard seeing you like that. So,
When you explant properly, which is the key again, which is 100% removal of the capsule, the surgery itself has about a 95% success rate where women do make a complete recovery. So thank God women do get better where it is reversible in almost every case. So that's the most encouraging thing about the explant process is if you pick the right doctor that does the surgery correctly, you most likely will, as women describe it, get back to the person you used to be before you got sick from the implants.
Yeah, and it definitely takes a toll on your mental health, even worse than your body, or at least in my case, because I've seen some women that, like their whole face swole up and things like that, which I had a rash on my face for a long time on my cheeks, but um, I think that that had a combination, it was from a combination of the implants as well as my gut health issues combined. But I've seen women that looked a lot sicker than I did. For me, though, it was very, very internal, and I literally thought I was gonna die. And fast forward till now, which I'm actually not on camera because I'm not feeling so well today. Not from the breast implants, I just have like a bit of a cold. But it's like it's almost like your body goes into fight or flight mode. You get scared and you notice every little twitch that you make or if you have the sniffles, and it mentally messes with your brain far longer than, just so you when you get your breast implants, you don't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm healthy forever. You still know that you were poisoned by toxins from so long, and so every time you feel a body ache or any type of sickness, it's still scary. To me, it's still scary.
You know, Tammy, I think you actually brought up the most important point with breast implant illness. You know, we always hear and talk about the symptoms of breast implant illness, but I always say that as much as you might be suffering physically, the emotional trauma from getting sick from your implants is much greater than the physical symptoms themselves because it changes the very person that you are from who you used to be. So the emotional trauma is off the charts because it's affecting the quality of your life. You're not able to do the things you used to do. It affects your ability to work, to exercise, to socialize, to be a good, wife or girlfriend or mother. I mean, all the important things that were important to you are taking its toll emotionally, even more than physically, because a lot of women have said to me, I can tough some of this out, physically for a while if I have to, but the emotional trauma is draining and you lose yourself because you're not able to be who you actually are. It does take away the very person you used to be. And that's why, like, we have a form we use at a 3-month follow-up. A woman will fill out that form so we can look and document their improvement. They'll check off the symptoms that go away. In the comments section, almost everybody writes the same thing. They will say in different wording, I finally feel like I'm my old self again. I finally feel like I'm the person I used to be before getting implants and getting sick. So absolutely 100%, the emotional trauma of getting sick from implants is definitely greater than the physical symptoms themselves.
Great information, Jeff. I really appreciate that update on what's happening in the realm of breast implants and explant. I think that was all very important to touch on. So for right now, I'm going to say thanks so much for being here, and be sure to stay tuned for part 2 with Jeff Rose on anti-aging and skincare.